Got the seagulls in the back.
Yes,
Oh,
sir.
dude. Yeah, I
Love
get to
it.
watch them around. Pretty soon, my glasses are going to be glowing when that sun comes up.
All
Love
right,
it.
guys, we are up. What's going on, everybody? Dual Coast Podcast. It is Tuesday morning. We are live right now with James Ruport over in Portland, Oregon. James, how we doing? Russ, how we doing over there?
Good, good.
I love how you really pronounced Ruport and Oregon.
Or
I, I,
Oregon.
yeah, I really appreciate it though. Everybody gets my last name wrong. I've been called Rupert my entire life. Even like my college roommate, like one of my best friends, he just calls me Rupert, and it's like, whatever,
Rupert
bud. But
Yeah, it's with
yeah,
a O. It's
with
with
an
an
O.
O.
it's like airport, only Ruport.
So if you're following him, it's James Ruport, not
Yes.
Rupert.
Fantastic, guys.
Yeah, welcome. Thank you for coming on to Dual Coast, man.
Yes.
We're a little bit different today. We're in James's garage. We're in Russ's wharf, even though
Yeah.
it's not mine. But we're doing something different because why? It's summertime, man, and it is time to get outside, man. Especially for those that have been stuck on the East Coast,
Yeah.
inside, rainy, cold. I mean, dude, it hasn't
No
been
one gets.
raining. It hasn't been raining in New York for like 2 straight weeks or something like that
Yeah,
recently.
it's been raining a lot. Today's actually the first. Oh, yesterday we got a little bit of sun. Today is the second sunny day that we've had, but it's been raining in New York for like a week and a half or so. Yeah,
Of all the
gray, rainy.
places to, of all the places to buy, why did you buy in Long Island? Come on,
Terrible idea. Terrible idea. Should have came
you
to
know.
what's that place in California that everybody likes? Santa Cruz. Santa Cruz.
Yeah. I wouldn't go to Portland, Oregon either.
Nah, stay out of here. It's no
Oregon.
good here.
Oregon.
Oh man, James, welcome to Dual Coast, man.
Yes.
Good to have you.
I appreciate it. It's good to be here.
Yeah, well, we're in for a treat today because I met James through a friend of mine who I met, the first guy I met here in Santa Cruz, actually Capitola, and Jim Bush, who also lives up your way. I believe he lives in Vancouver. Turned me on to James, and he said, "Hey, man, he is going to be a great fit for Dual Coast because he is a biomechanic specialist. He is into functional patterns and movement, which is, a lot of people may not know what that means. So we're going to allow you, James, to explain exactly what functional patterns are, biomechanics are, more in depth of what you do. You live in Portland. You're changing lives. But what was funny is because off air today, you said you needed to get out of the house because you've been stuck in the house for a long while. You're getting ready to have your second child, and you got a gym membership, which is outstanding. I love that.
Yeah.
So, welcome, and tell us a little bit more in depth about what biomechanics is and functional patterns,
Yeah.
movement patterns are.
Yeah, I want to just start off with functional patterns. It's just kind of a generic name, and Jim always gets it jacked up. He calls it like practical patterns or something. I go, all right, Jim, whatever. It's just you just roll with it. But
Yeah.
functional patterns is itself, it's a company. It's an education and technology company within the biomechanics space. So they generate the revenue by doing educational courses, teaching people how to assess and treat biomechanical issues and how to what we're trying to do is essentially kind of rewrite some of the kinesiology books, rewrite some of the biomechanics and exercise physiology books. And then what is also happening, as you can see, they're technology company. So these machines, and this is the lower level of the machine. The newer machine, you can, this is at a 6-to-1 pulley ratio. So I can move the weight 6 feet and it moves the weight 1 foot. And you can slip it to 4-to-2 or 4-to-1 or 2-to-1. So you can sit here and change the leverage on this thing. So we can either do big explosive movements or we can do real tight, heavier movements. So it's
That's
just
very cool.
making tools to make the transition into biomechanical training just more comfortable, more effective, more efficient. The premise of functional patterns, though, is to look at kind of you could say human evolution, anthropology, right? So what is the human structure made to do? Standing, walking, running, throwing are probably the big four, the main derivatives of motion, and we could probably extrapolate that most other movements are some sort of derivative of that. So like a golf swing, for example, just a sport, that's an underhand throwing pattern. So we can have overhand, underhand throwing patterns, which are just inverse of running. So like how the wave transfers through the body is kind of just flipped, whether we're throwing or running. So we are trying to optimize standing, walking, running, and throwing. We are using running, so the sprint mechanic as the North Star. So if your exercise is degrading your running mechanics, we should probably think twice about doing that exercise. If it's not helping your running mechanics, then we maybe should think twice about it again and go, okay, how, like, are we wasting our time or not? So the idea of a functional pattern is just a exercise pattern or even a thought pattern or a behavior pattern that drives sustainability for efficient outcomes, I would say would be my general definition of it.
That's amazing.
Interesting.
Well, while James disappeared, we, the cool thing is today's Dual Coast is that James is actually going to show us
Yep.
some movement patterns, functional patterns that he works on. And then, you talked about golf, but then you've got, what would you call like a tennis swing?
Yeah, it's either an overhand or an underhand throwing pattern. Serving is an overhand, underhand essentially. So they're both throwing patterns. And in between throwing, you have a whole bunch of running.
Gotcha.
So, if we look at like, how do we train these athletes, and I've talked to Jim about his training, very interesting with just like the neurologic twitch that he's trying to incorporate with people and trying to ground through the feet and work up through it. I'm not sure, Russ, if you've been down that rabbit hole. I know you're in coaching. I'd be kind of curious to hear what your kind of coaching and training background is. But like, we tend to hear, and I was on a Division III football team, so like I've been through standard strength and conditioning. And I choose my words wisely. I was on the team. I played for like 1 quarter, got a tackle, and then rode the bench the rest of my senior year. So,
So you're Rudy. Are you Rudy?
Rudy
Were you?
pretty much. Might be Rupee instead of Rudy. Yeah. So I've been through the strength and conditioning grinder, and we did a lot of power cleans, we did a lot of squats, we did a lot of and I think the plyometrics were pretty good, but like for myself, I couldn't run angles well. I was very good with the first 2 steps, which might be attributable to me doing power cleans, getting out of the 3-point stance and taking those first couple of steps. But like my ability to turn a hoop was garbage. And I would put money on it that I can turn a hoop faster now than I could when I was 20 training to play football, because I've learned how to potentiate my muscles to create rotation and side bend and to shift my weight better. So, if we're talking about these like tennis players or whatever else, like, how are we training them? Like, why are they doing back squats? Are they doing heavy back squats? Like, how much carryover does that have to cutting laterally?
Yeah.
If I'm holding a racket and I'm side bending and then I'm rotating and transferring my weight to sprint another direction to swing the other way, like how much of this is going to transfer to that? Maybe for very high level athletes, some of it does, but like, that's kind of what we're looking at, is like, how do we actually train those patterns with resistance to develop strength, muscle, to develop a fascial integrity, so these bodies are more resilient, more bouncy, and we get more years out of them.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's great.
James, quick. So let's say in terms of the nervous system in this whole thing, how would you say the nervous system plays a role either in locking us into good patterns or locking us into bad patterns? So let's say now you have these fast twitch athletes. Now, a lot of this is nervous system relying. Now you're training the nervous system to remember these patterns and to remember these types of movements. Now, let's just say even for the everyday person, how would the nervous system play a role in either locking us into or unlocking patterns with us?
Yeah. That's a great question. That's like a thesis dissertation right there.
Write me a thesis.
Yeah, no, I'll do what I can here. So I think it's wise to think of the nervous system as part of the system. So I think it's kind of unwise to reduce it to a nervous system or the fascial system or the muscular system. It is the neuromyofascial skeletal system.
Right.
So the nervous system is the thing that interacts and senses threat, but it is being governed by, I think, the connective tissue and the muscle and the joint stability.
Right.
And those two things are bouncing off of each other. So if we have, so we can affect the fascia through the nervous system, and we could look at that through, let's say, abuse.
Okay.
We physically abuse, and and that's maybe what we're doing in the weight room sometimes when we're doing those heavy weights. But
Sure.
you get somebody physically, you smack them, and you're just like abusing people. Next time you raise their hand, their mammalian stress response is going to turn on, and it's going to lock down their deep front line. They're going to go into protective guarding mode.
Right.
So different nervous system stimuli can affect the fascia, and then different fascial stimuli can affect the nervous system. So to go into to go down that pathway, I at one point it was about 2014, 2015-ish, I transitioned to endurance running, and I ran one marathon, and that was the last marathon that I'll ever run.
Okay.
But I was doing up to 200 miles a month, 60 miles a week. I almost qualified for Boston.
That sounds like Russ.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Let me show you some explosive movement right here on 26 miles right now.
Yeah, no, don't hurt yourself. It's not worth it.
Yeah, please don't hurt yourself.
But after all of that input, on top of it, I was eating a vegan diet, so just add insult to injury. And my nervous system was fried. So I was trying to get back down to like racing weight.
Yeah.
It says network connection lost. Are we still good?
We're good.
We're still good, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was trying to get back down to racing weight. I finished my marathon at 160. So
Wow.
just in college when I was playing football, I got up to 230. I'm sitting at 190 right now. So the body's a pretty flexible thing.
Yeah, for sure.
But I finished at 160. Then I was like, after a little while, I was at like 175. I was like, gosh, I just can't get down, and running at this weight's a little bit harder. So I tried to run more and cut my calories, and I couldn't. So that was at the time when I transitioned into functional patterns. So I bought the 10-week online course from Functional Patterns, did the first week of myofascial release. It's like foam rolling on steroids, using a lacrosse ball, using a softball, digging into tissues as hard as I could. And I lost 5 pounds that week. I stopped running. I stopped exercising. I just did an hour of myofascial work a night for a week, and I lost 5 pounds in the first week. So I think my fascia was so restricted from the chronic stress that I had put it through.
Interesting.
That doing the deep tissue work got my metabolism to restart. I also started eating meat at the time, so that like I did more than one variable. It's kind of bad science, but it was the correct intervention.
Right.
So yeah, I lost 5 pounds in the first week. I started sleeping better. My digestion changed, right? So I think I was in a hypercortisol state that had caused my fascia to restrict, and then changing the structure changed my nervous system. So I think those two things, I think the nervous system and the fascial system, they are interwoven. We know that the vagus nerve can stimulate fascia. I believe it's the vagus nerve, or the autonomic nervous system can cause fascial crimping. That excessive cortisol can cause fascial crimping.
Right.
So we have to look at the entire organism essentially, and how it's behaving and how it's interacting with the world to figure out what the correct interventions are to relieve them from their stuck patterns.
Yeah. Would you say people in just like, let's say everyday stresses, like let's say, everyday stresses of work and whatever else, would you say that creates a hypercortisol state in a lot of people, and that they probably have a lot of fascial issues?
1,000%. It's not even a question. When we have 90% of the population being metabolically, somewhat metabolically unwell or not metabolically healthy,
Yeah.
And maybe I'm overgeneralizing by saying cortisol, but yeah, I think it's cortisol. I think everybody who's like addicted to sugar, who says, "Oh, I'm a sugar addict," I think
Yeah.
that's just them trying to compensate for a hypercortisol state.
Interesting.
I think our experience with artificial light increases the hypercortisol state. I think us punching into a time clock increases it. I think us not touching grass, grounding, getting out in
Yeah.
the sun. So I make it a daily practice if I can, especially during the summer, obviously, I have an app called D-Minder, and it tells me how much vitamin D I'm making. So I will make 20,000 IU of vitamin D a day from the sun, which
Right.
equates to somewhere between 1 and 4 hours of direct sunlight on my mostly unclothed body. Just trying to get as much sun as I can, and because I think that is shown to decrease a hypercortisol state that I think everybody's in. I would love to see a test if we could just get blood work on everybody and do a cortisol to DHEA. That's my understanding. I'm not 100% on the hormones and how the whole system works, but that's supposed to be a good indicator for longevity and overall stress.
Sure.
Excess cortisol, decreased DHEA is bad. So we want that ratio to go that way. I'd be curious to see that and link it to people's fasting insulin or something like that, just to see how their physiology is holding up. But yeah, I think today's society is, I don't know, is degenerate. I think it's, and it's just people are working so hard to try to pay the bills and put food on the table and take care of people. Like I say it with just the utmost respect for what people are trying to do, what they can do, but our dollars debasing, things are getting more expensive, and people are out there grinding. And grinding is grinding, right? It's that term means a number of things. Joints are grinding, hormones are grinding, and so for those people, one, take some time to chill out, right? And that's where I'm just going to continue to plug that Functional Patterns 10-week online course. Even the first 2 weeks of just doing myofascial release, understand how putting pressures on your body changes your hormone state. Go outside, get some sun, go for a walk, turn your phone off, throw your phone in the creek. No, don't do it. It's a great tool, but God dang, doesn't it affect us?
100%.
It's amazing. So yeah, just everyday desk workers or everyday laborers, they're getting stuck in this state. Then they cope with food, and then their dopamine systems get jacked from the food and the technology that we're around. And then they have a hard time changing their patterns because they're stuck in dopamine loops.
Yeah.
And how do we break it? I mean, you just got to get off your ass one of these days, make something happen. Go outside, watch the sunrise, go for a walk, get some deep tissue work, figure out how to posture. If you can figure out how to posture well, I think the resilience toward all that goes way down. I still have anxiety, I would say, right? I'm still like anxious about the various problems of the world, but the ability for me to control my structure in the way that I've learned from functional patterns, I think has made it so I am less likely to have a really negative response.
Sure.
Nothing else. I wake up in the morning, I check my posture, I get my thoracic spine engaged, I get my scapula set, I play with my core pressure, I check it in the mirror, I'm looking at side bends and rotations, and I go, okay, I've got control over this thing today. Bring on the chaos, because that's what it is.
Yeah,
for sure.
Do you sleep with those headphones on?
Last night I slept with earplugs in because it was 8 o'clock and my 2-year-old was, running around screaming.
Those are peak cortisol level headphones. They knock down his cortisol levels.
No, these are wireless. They're awful. I'm just microwaving my brain right now. Yeah.
But if you even just think about the fact, I look at this all the time. When people are just sitting on their cell phones, like in whatever position, like on the chair, whatever like that. Just think about the biomechanics of that, how bad people's posture has become just looking at their phones all the time.
Slumped over.
Yeah.
You know, I've seen some photos of people in the 40s riding the train, and they're all reading newspapers.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just like I don't know if it's really changed.
That's an interesting standpoint. That's an interesting standpoint. Yeah. Because
You know,
I
so
guess people have always been like looking down at something like reading or whatever throughout time.
the difference is that the screens with the blue light
Huge. Yeah.
can be changing how our eyeballs function and changing
Yeah.
our metabolic function,
Interesting.
opposed
Yeah.
to natural light off of a newspaper or candlelight or even an incandescent bulb off of a newspaper.
Yeah.
So that might be part of the tech problem.
That's where kind of like red light comes in, because people, like, they say we used to, evolutionary wise, we used to sit by the fire and it used to be red light at night. And now we've transitioned all to blue light, and it's all blue light stimuli. And I think there was a study done or something like that said blue light has, knocks down certain neurotransmitters or something like that to make you kind of like, almost like obsessed with it, almost like to keep looking back at it, I've seen a few studies like that. And red light therapy supposedly is we'll say the counteractive light to that. It's because we used to live by red light, fire, candlelight, everything like that. Now we've transitioned all to blue light. Oh, damn, we lost him.
Uh-oh. Lost James.
Damn, we're having a good conversation here.
Yeah. He just, did the I Dream of Jeannie, disappeared, man.
I got him back.
You guys good?
Hey, there he is.
I got you back.
Let
right
me wait
on,
for
man.
this to clear up a little bit. I can hear you guys.
We could see
right
you.
On, man.
It looks a little
We could
paused.
We could see you.
Yeah, well, if I have to get out here on the wharf and show some functional patterns, I will.
That's the last thing
my
we
internet connection.
So, James, are you good?
We could hear you. We could see you.
Boop, 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 boop.
Can you hear us?
Can you hear us?
I don't think he can hear us.
No, can't hear us.
Well, what do you, hey, Dan, going off until James connects back in.
Yeah.
Talk to us about, functional patterns, functional movements, how it plays great dividends for the ordinary everyday person, and what adjustments, do you see that people can make in their everyday lives with functional movement and functional patterns?
It's interesting. I'm actually going to tie in a little something that James just said. I think he's trying to come back on right now.
Okay.
How's
there
that?
he is. There he is.
There he is.
Oh, that's
We
fun.
got you. We got you.
All right, a little technical difficulty.
I was about to fill in for you.
Yeah.
My Wi-Fi says I still have 3 bars of Wi-Fi, so
you're good, man.
Right there,
not
man.
sure. All
You're
right.
good right there,
You're
man.
good. Well,
Yeah,
I just asked Dan a question, but scrap that. So what I would love for you to do right now, James, is something that you mentioned a little bit earlier, is that you're going to show us some movements. So I would like for you to take some time, and this is a little bit something different in our show, which is absolutely fabulous.
Awesome.
So I would love for you to show us some movement patterns that the ordinary person can do to help them in their everyday functional pattern movement.
Oh, well, I'm gonna put, so if that's the phrasing for it, that the ordinary person can do.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make this ordinary.
Okay.
So I think the hinge pattern, and I guess anybody who's listening on Spotify, check out the YouTube later. The hinge pattern is a pretty common pattern, and it's and I think it's fine. I think but how do people normally load it? Well, if we were to do just body weight hinges, where am I at here? We just do body weight hinges on 2 feet. Okay, I guess that's one way. If we were to go to unilateral, I would say that's a better way. As we walk and run and shift weight, it's moving from one unilateral to the other, right? We're almost always dominant on one foot as we're moving through space.
Sure.
So if we can train unilaterally, it's gonna be better than bilaterally. So then how do we can do body weight, and that's fine. And we can do like slow isometric to get more and more motor neurons, and integrate the hinge with the pelvic posture, with the core pressure, the thorax, the scapulas, right? So we can try to integrate and then go slow and like understand the movement pattern. Okay, that's pretty good. Most of the time we're just gonna do this axial load where we're holding a weight here.
Yeah.
Or like think of a good morning where we've got the weight on our back. And depending on the amount of weight, the amount of intensity, that could be maybe more detrimental than beneficial.
Sure.
So what we try to do with everything, almost everything, is to try to incorporate a horizontal load to it. So here the force is on the machine. So as I create resistance, it is along the horizon, just like if I were to be moving, playing a sport.
Yeah.
So this is just a very basic warm up that I have people do when they come in, just to get moving. So if we look at the gait pattern, it is a reciprocal pattern. So my left foot's forward, my right hand's forward, and then as we're moving through space, the left leg and the right hand move with each other backward and forward as we rotate around our pelvis. So we have this unilateral stance, and we create a hinge. We're keeping lat tension, and we're trying to keep the hinge, the glute activation in sync with the lat activation. So if we're going to hinge and row here, we can then create a little more movement and stability and rotation around the left hip. And I'll have people kind of work on keeping the stability. And then we can load that left hip and then unload it up into a march, where I'm now rotating toward the right foot here, bring it back to square, left, load the hip, output, right? We kind of whoop, take it through some reps. I'm looking at the quality of side bends, rotations, pelvic positions, how are the knees and the feet lined up. But yeah, just a very basic, you know, and you make that look so easy. I hear it all the time. And it's a fairly easy exercise, but if you do that right, it's a butt burner, right? We can sit here and do squats all day long, but this is functionally, this, like on the machine, this is 10 or 15 pounds. I'll put a little bit more weight on it, but like, it doesn't take a whole lot.
Yeah.
And this horizontal load, if we contract this right, it is going to create a tractioning through the spine, opposed to if I have the weight on my back, that's creating a compression on our spine.
Yeah.
And I'm not 100% against compressive training, but everything in our life is compressive. Like, we always have gravity compressing us. So our ability to create horizontal force creates rotations around our spine to decompress. So the more horizontal we load and the less axial we load, I think it's going to set us up for better longevity.
Interesting.
Love that.
Interesting.
My glute is hurting right now.
Yeah, you got to
very tight.
Got a little bit of that pump just watching.
Yeah.
I'll show you a softball release. You can use a softball to release the glute med, piriformis, glute max, right? So actually, let me see. So one of the things that I've seen, so I see a lot of people in here, a lot of people doing a lot of different things. Got a number of runners, just recreational runners, and running. Okay, tangents on tangents here, but I'm talking about how running is a human movement. That doesn't necessarily mean that going out and slogging out 10 miles at a time is a functional pattern. Right. So if you watch most people run, most of the people I see on the road running look miserable. And it's just like hips are unstable. And that's why, Russ says, I'm never running. It's because he's probably smart enough to know that that's not what his body needs right now.
Exactly.
It's like that.
For 57 years, I've known that.
Yeah. It's just like,
that's why he's never tried it.
Yeah. Probably a smart move. Just keep walking, save your joints.
Yeah. I know. Craig Siegel says, hey, you guys should, you guys should run a marathon. And I go, dude, that is not in my bucket list, man, at all. And he goes, never say never. And I go, I'm never saying never right now, because I am never going to run a 26-mile marathon.
Yeah, my understanding is that some percentage, I'm not sure if it's everybody who finishes a marathon, but some percentage has troponin in their blood. So they demonstrate that their heart tissue is breaking down at the end of a marathon. So I don't think it's, and I've seen a cardiologist talk about how after 25 miles a week, we do not get cardioprotective benefits, and that as you continue with more miles per week, you're actually getting cardio detriment. I've heard a whole bunch of anecdotes of these ultra marathon runners and these super endurance runners dying of heart disease.
Yeah.
I've got
That's
a
crazy.
friend's dad who ran every day for 17 years, who had a triple cabbage.
Yeah.
So it's like,
That's interesting.
I don't think there's exercise is good. Too much exercise is not good.
Yeah.
Which is more where I am with my life is, and I watch you guys' show, and I know Russ is, big on getting people out and getting people to exercise, because being sedentary is not what we're meant to do.
Sure.
Going out in nature and walking and playing as a family is what we're meant, like, that's fantastic. I love
Yeah.
that as the outcome. I get people who want to run 10 miles at a time. I've gotten ultra marathon runners. I get, very avid yogis. And in all honesty, I think yoga is the worst of the worst in regard to longevity.
Wow.
I've seen so many people who have stretched their muscle to the point of it not being a reactive contractor anymore. Like, as my hamstring stretches, I want it to contract so that it can hit the ground and propel me. Like, running is just this stretch shortening cycle of hip flexors, hamstrings, glutes, core, stretching, contracting in this rhythmic oscillatory fashion. If we take our hamstring and stretch it to oblivion, or take our hip flexor and pull our foot up to our head behind our back, that hip flexor is not going to be reactive anymore. It's no longer going to stabilize our pelvis. It's no longer going to create propulsion. So it's like something we need to probably get away from. Now, is like some very light stretching a problem? I don't know, maybe not. But like deep hour-long hot yoga sessions, it's like please don't do that.
That's actually really interesting. Yeah, that's very interesting.
Everybody I've got a saying that, like, if I could take yoga and kale and put them on one of Elon Musk's rocket ships and just send it to Mars, like, get it out of here. These two things that everyone says is just like the way to create health: yoga and kale. I need more kale and I need more stretching. It's like so misguided. We've been lied to.
Yeah.
We want mobility, but I believe mobility comes from being able to contract your muscles through a range of motion, ideally with smooth transitional movement, weight shifts, unilateral, full body integrated. Like, if we can get all that dialed in, we can create more mobility. And as I've gone through this, I was more mobile than I was when I was doing yoga for the 2 months I did it my senior year of college. And I think I learned some stuff there, but I'm glad I only did it for 2 months, because my hip flexors and hamstrings still function to some degree. So the question I often get, though, is like, what do we do? Okay, if you want me to stop stretching, what do I do? And
Right.
Well, that's where the tissue release comes in. I've talked about it a couple of times on the 10-week online course for functional patterns, right? And you guys have seen people foam roll.
Sure.
Very, very common. But most of the time when people foam roll, they lay on it and they roll back and forth, and it's pretty quick, like rolling. What I would recommend, since Russ got that glute cramp watching me, so right now I'm kind of on my piriformis. We can go a little bit frog leg on this thing.
Yeah.
And this one especially, I have a hard time because I carry a lot of tension in my glutes. So I have a hard time really letting go. But you have to figure out how to breathe in a way to allow the muscle to turn off as we push on the trigger point, because this thing's stressful. Okay, this is painful. This is stressful. So I tend to do like a 4-second inhale and a 6-second exhale. I tend to do like a fog breath in my throat.
Yeah.
I think that triggers the vagus nerve to calm things down. And I put my mind in my glute and I look for my guarding patterns. So, and that's something that I think plays into some of the other stuff we've talked about. So as I'm looking at my phone and I'm on the social media and I'm seeing stupid crap and it's getting me triggered, at this point, I can feel my fascia start to restrict from my triggering. Like, I can feel this tension in my throat and my chest. And I go, oh, and then I can turn it off because I've spent this much time figuring out how to turn on and turn off tensions in my body. So I can go, okay, this is still annoying and dumb, but like, how do I make it not physically harm me? so we can do this with our glute. We can do it with our IT band, vastus lateralis quad. All right, we can go through tissue release. Oh, my camera work. You guys, tell me my camera work sucks.
That's okay. You're good.
We could see you.
You're
We
good.
can
Right.
see you.
Yep.
So I've got so when we can sit here and trigger, put it on trigger points and work through with deep tissue, slow, sustained pressure, as opposed to what we see with the foam roller, where we're just going real fast and like kind of rubbing it, or the guns,
Yeah.
I don't know how good that does. I did it on myself once and I felt stiffer afterwards. My biomechanics mentor, the CEO of Functional Patterns, talks about fascia that it's like a non-Newtonian fluid, like cornstarch and water. If you guys ever saw that, right? You smack it and it becomes real hard. And if you're slow, you get to sink into it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I haven't, done the research to see if that is corroborated in mainstream science or anything. But if it is true, then the Theragun, where you're jackhammering your muscle, would cause the fascia to become restricted and tightened, opposed to allowing you to navigate through it.
Wow.
So that's where I like deep sustained pressures more than fast rolling or the jackhammer or stretching.
Yeah.
In regard to stretching, I've got just one case that comes to mind. There's a handful of them though. A 40-year-old lady came in with calf pain from running, and I'm like, what are you doing? Well, since my calf hurts, I'm not sure when she started, if she started stretching first or the pain started first. I'm not sure the cause and effect there, but she said, well, I stretched my calf. I'm like, all right, well, why are you stretching your calf? Well, because it's tight. I'm like, okay, show me how tight your calf is. And she shows me her calf mobility, right? And she does this, and her knee like goes out to here, right? And it's like your calf is not tight. So one, our perceptions are always telling us the truth. But yeah, for her, I had her stop stretching and I had her do like some basic hinge, like I showed you, and her calf pain went away. It was like,
wow.
Oh, okay. And I see it. Oh my God, do I see it? I've done some subbing in some local PT clinics, and one is a work comp clinic, and work comp pays a lot.
Yeah.
And I can't get on the contracts, and I wish I could, because I would love to be paid a lot. That would be great. Right. But so I went into this clinic, and this guy fell, broke his ankle, had plates in his ankle, and they're just stretching his ankle. They have him on the slant board and they're stretching it, and they're stretching it every way possible. And then he's doing some ankle strengthening, some plantar flexions and whatever else. But I took over his case for a day. I'm like, how's it going? He's like, oh, all this hurts. I'm like, okay, all this hurts. That's no good. So I just did what I just showed you guys. I put him in a unilateral stance. I had him hinge. I had him create glute contraction. I stopped reefing on his ankle, which has 2 plates and screws in it. And I put the focus on stability up the chain, and his gait speed doubled. Like he went from limping to walking normally. I documented this. Ankle mobility is hurting this guy's ankle, and having him work proximal stability is helping. Document. I come back a week later and he's doing the same crap. They're getting paid $280 an hour to have a tech take him through crap that is hurting him, when the actual answer is actually fairly, like, it's not. I've paid like $20,000 to have the education I have from Functional Patterns, and I gave it's from the 10-week online course, right? I gave from the 10-week online course hip hinge, and it made a night and day difference. And I'm going, like, what are we doing here? And it's just, I think the state of the rehab industry, man, is sad. It's not good. So we have all these people walking around in pain, got people with these chronic issues, and not to say that physical therapy doesn't help some people, and it does.
Yeah.
But like, I don't think it goes enough. I think for every good PT, there's like 5 mediocre ones. I think and then we just get stuck in these chronic pain cycles, and I don't know, it bums me out.
Yeah. Well, I love what Functional Patterns, what they're at their top. It says move better and eliminate pain, and that's exactly what you're talking about right now.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. and we can go down the rabbit hole with functional patterns. Like, how are we supposed to be training high level athletes and like all this stuff, and how detrimental is a back squat? And we can get into the weeds and all these things. But like when it comes down to it, it's like, for the average person, how do we create some stability in their body, some mobility without making them hypermobile? Because hypermobile is I think the worst. We have evidence to show that hypermobility is linked to anxiety disorders, right? So I think it's like if your body is ungrounded and your brain can't sense that you are stable on this planet, it's going to make you fear existing to some degree. So we need to be stable. We need to be robust. We need to be able to move through space and time. And if not, our brain's going to say, hey, bro, this is jacked up. And then we're going to be anxious and then cope with whatever coping mechanisms we have, which is going to just be a bad spiral.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I guess that's where the yoga comes in too, with the hypermobility, like you're saying. Yeah, because everybody tries to focus on those yoga stretches, and I'm sure there's some strength training to a degree because you're firing certain muscles when you're doing it, but hypermobility would obviously be the end result of doing too much yoga.
That is generally what I am led to believe. Now, I keep hearing from yogis that this yoga is different. That might be, sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a spectrum, and there's far more detrimental to far less detrimental. Maybe for somebody who's super stiff, and like maybe a super stiff ex-athlete, somebody whose nervous system kind of knows how to move, but then they become sedentary. Doing some low doses of yoga might be able to extract something from that.
Got it.
But it tends to have the people who tend to gravitate toward yoga are the people who are good at yoga, which means that they're already hypermobile.
Right.
And then they're doing hypermobility training. The people who tend to gravitate toward bodybuilding are people who can just put on mass easy, and then they just put on heaps and heaps of mass in ways that do not transfer to the gait cycle, and they become stiff and muscle bound. And I think Frank said it on episode 1 that he's like, you go to the backstage with some of these bodybuilders and none of those guys could sprint. They would tear their hamstring. He said this isn't the picture of health back here.
It's true.
Right. And I go, yeah, that was a very wise statement from this gentleman.
Yeah.
So it's we're just trying to figure out, how do we actually, as human organisms, how do we train ourselves to function, to be able to move, to be able to run and play with our kids, right? I've got a 2-year-old. I'm 36. We started a little bit late in the realm of procreation. So when he's 18, hopefully playing high school sports, I will be, 50 something?
Yeah.
52. 50, whatever it is. So, okay, at 50, can I still run and cut and play with my kid, or wrestle him? I've got a small bag of Bitcoin, and once my kid can beat me in wrestling, it's his. So I'm trying to be able to wrestle till I'm 60. So I,
So you hold on to that money.
That's right. Maybe I get to keep it.
Well, my bet is that you're still going to be moving at 50 years old. That's my bet.
So, man.
I'm rolling the dice, and I'm saying James is still going to be moving.
With that kind of knowledge base, I mean, I would say yes. Russ at 60, I don't know.
Wearing down, baby.
Hey, at least we know Russ made it to 60. I don't know if I'm gonna make it there.
Yeah.
That's it. Any given day might be my day. You never know.
You never know, right? You never know. But yeah,
I want to, since I have you guys here.
Yeah, what do you got?
I want to go a little higher level, and this one's a thirst trap for the ladies. I'm going to take the shirt off with this.
Nice.
All right.
Here you go. Here you go.
Any
YouTube.
ladies around? No.
No, not.
Trying to figure out how to censor this on the podcast.
So this is my favorite tool, right? So we have bench presses and we have rows, but the human organism, as we move, has a push and a pull mechanism, right? So one arm's moving backwards, one arm's moving forward. So as we're running, you can freeze frame Usain Bolt, and you'll see he's loaded, rotated, loading into his right hip, and then it's going to shift him forward. He's going to rotate. He's going to end up side bending. He's going to end up landing on his opposite foot. So instead of doing chest presses where we're doing both hands forward, which we don't do in nature, everything we do in nature with our arms, one hand forward, one hand back, create the vacuum, throw a sling, or running, or striking. So we've got we call it the RG bar from Functional Patterns. So we get to load a pull and a press. It gives me an opportunity to see how my core pressure and dial in my core pressure to make the tissues, I'll say, tension evenly. I get a chance here. I've got a mirror in front of me so I can see my pelvis from the back, and I'm looking at how my pelvis is stacked up, and I can look at how my body rotates and spirals over to the right over my right leg. So I can do a pull and a press, and I can keep spine stiffness. So everybody in the rehab world is talking about like Pallof presses for anti-rotation. So this is 1,000% more effective than that. Or why don't we actually just load up the rotation, keeping the side bend here, load it, send it. Or we can then load up the glute, have the glute fire us forward and send it. So I'm keeping the side bend, or I could switch the side bend. And I'm looking at the evenness of my spine. So from what you guys can see, I'll actually change this from the back. But this is essentially what I'm looking at from the other side as well, is how is my spine. Let me change this a touch just so I can make sure I'm not lying to you. How's my spine side bend? Get the lats tension, pushing my bones back into my muscle. My muscle's contracted to support the bones, and moving the weight. Looking at the side bend, looking at the scapular mechanics. Load up the glute, send it, keep the side bend. Could take that and shift the weight into the step.
Yep.
So it's a deadlift variation that allows for spine mobility. And I can look at how somebody's spine side bends to the left compared to the right, and look at the asymmetry as we're going through weight training, doing everything square and sagittal. I don't get to look for asymmetry as well. You can see some asymmetry, but it is never going to tell you that I have a left side bend dysfunction.
Sure.
Or that my pelvis can't rotate to the left. Mine rotates to the left. It doesn't rotate to the right very well. As we go through three-dimensional resisted exercises.
Yeah.
So yeah, we have to figure out how to build muscle around the spine. We have to figure out how to move the spine through space, through flexion, extension, side bends, rotations. We've got to load it. We've got to get it to connect to the legs. And if we don't, then we probably shouldn't be doing really heavy weight training, because our structure is not set up to actually do the base functions yet.
Right. Interesting.
Love that.
Yeah, that's
Love
awesome.
it.
That's good stuff. The
Pretty good, Russ. Yeah, you got it.
Russ does that all the time, man.
Yeah, what else you guys got? What other questions you got?
I was actually just going to ask you like a proprioception question, because I know that comes in a lot to like a lot of injuries and a lot of issues like neurologically as far as proprioception goes. Are there like do you integrate that into anybody's regimens as far as like let's say they have hip injuries or spine injuries or any type of prevention stuff? Do you integrate proprioception into any of that?
100%. That's I think one of the main drivers of why this is successful.
Yeah.
I think getting the fascial sheets. So if you're not trained to see this, if you're to watch this versus somebody else do this, when I do this, you can see how my tissue across my body is working as a unit to create movement.
Yeah.
If you watch somebody who doesn't do this well, you'll see that it's disjointed. So if we can get the myofascial units to evenly create tension, it's going to send more information up into the nervous system for us to be able to understand where we are in space. Right. So at this point, I don't even think about like, oh, humeral flexion or like side bend, rotate. Like, okay, it's in my mind of this is what is happening, but I'm just seeking tension. So that tension that we create is haptic proprioceptive feedback. And everybody is absolutely missing that. Even for me to tell somebody like rotate your pelvis, and I'll see this happen. They're doing this. I'm like, that's not your pelvis. It's just a new way to call you a butthead, I guess. But like, that's not it. So, okay, keep your head still and rotate your pelvis. No, keep your chest still and rotate your pelvis. And then, okay, this is where my pelvis is. Right. Yeah. So yeah, it is 100% like proprioceptive feedback. At first, it is cognitive. It is conscious.
Yeah.
After you go through it and you connect the dots and you get your muscle and fascia to work as a system, it becomes subconscious.
Right.
And then now when I'm sprinting, my sprint looks different than it did when I was 18. It looks better than it did when I was trying to play college football, because my proprioceptive pathways have been enhanced. So I think that's exactly what we're doing here. Is it training the fascia? Is it and I just keep hearing these like arguments online, because functional patterns is a very controversial, company, and there's a lot of arguing on the internet about whatever. But yeah, I mean, it's training your nervous system to contract muscles to enhance our feedback, our proprioceptive feedback, to make our tissues become more engaged with three-dimensional propulsive movement.
Yeah. I honestly think a lot of that's key as far as the rehab standpoint too, because I'll give you a real life example. My mom has a rotator cuff tear right now, 2 muscles fully torn, and she has a biceps tendon dislocation coming medially. And she's gone through several physical therapists already trying to rehab this whole injury prior to going to surgery. And everything she said to me, she's like, Dan, she's like, everything I do hurts. She's like, everything that they're trying to show me hurts. So maybe she needs certain things that come from a functional standpoint to rehab that shoulder more so than just trying to rehab the injury itself.
Yeah. I mean, for her, depending on, her buy-in or her time or whatever, but yeah, it's like almost literally start at the pelvis. We have to start at the pelvis and create core pressure, because that's going to set up our thoracic spine and our rib cage to be a better foundation for our scapula. And then we need our scapula and our thoracic extensors to work together to connect our arm to our spine. And then we can work on pushing and pulling. But yeah, most PT rehab is just this thing and this thing.
Right.
But not once does anyone ever tell you how do you actually pull your scapulas into a position as you create movement. Like PT will not tell you that there is an appropriate scapular posture. They'll tell you to just squeeze them back, which is hypermobilizing them, or like do this stuff or like whatever. But like nobody will ever tell you that there is probably an ideal scapular posture that you're supposed to be in. And then that sets the foundation for your rotator cuff to work better, essentially. Everybody's going to tell you to pull your shoulder blades down and back, and I think that's inherently wrong. I think that's putting the rotator cuff at a bad position of contraction. It's like I said, I really like, and I'm a PT. My wife's a PT. My friends are PTs. I don't mean to, but it's like, God dang, guys, it's bad. And so where's your mom? Is she in New York?
She's in New York, yeah.
Who do we have in New York? I know a fantastic dude in New Jersey.
Oh, really?
Yeah. A bunch of killers out there in New Jersey. Yeah, Functional Patterns, New Jersey.
Interesting. Let me know if you got any New York guys.
New York. I'd have to ask around.
We'll talk.
I can't think of it off the top of my head.
We'll have to get James online, hooked up with your mom, man. That's the way to do it.
Exactly.
It's tough, especially online. But I have a couple results if you look through my Instagram. But it's a one of them was a guy that I knew from high school, a friend of mine from high school, but it was all, he got the 10-week functional patterns online course, and we did online sessions, and he went from 14 years of chronic back pain, couldn't do anything, to pulling deers out of the rut.
Wow.
And just like scaps nice and spread, you just see nice big flat back.
That's crazy.
All right, Jordan, we did it. Heck yeah.
That's awesome.
Wild, man. Wild.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think we're probably going to land the plane here. This has been a very intense, very informative conversation. Russ, you agree?
I agree 100%, man.
Yeah.
I
This has been really good.
apologize to anyone
Informative.
who's listening who thought that was too technical or something. I don't
No,
know.
it's
just
great.
Oh, that's actually really what we wanted, was a lot of technical. That's really what we wanted.
Yeah, we were expecting that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we were expecting
okay.
that. We were expecting
Okay.
that. We
It was
actually
very good.
close out the show, James, with a saying, or a quote, if you will, that we say, wellness is not about perfection, but about progress. And I know you listen to the show, so I think you've heard this before, but what would you say in regards to that statement real quick? What's your take on that?
Yeah. I've got two things to say. I like it. I've got a lot of clients who are like, oh man, I'm doing this exercise wrong. And I say, yes, you are. Go home and do it wrong. Like, you're never going to do it right without doing it wrong first.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
just go home and do it wrong. And anybody on the journey, like if you are a 20-year sedentary couch potato, this video might not be for you. Go outside and exercise. And once something hurts, go see a professional. And once they let you down, go see a functional patterns practitioner and get your stuff resolved. But like, we just need to make a step today for those people. Like, just do something, change the way you eat, go out and exercise. So yeah, it's nobody's doing any of these movements perfect, and it's just continuously trying to figure out how to do it better and how to learn better.
Yeah.
On the flip side of that, though, if we have two paths and one path leads us to a steep cliff that if we continue down that path, we're going to die, it's best to try to understand the layout of the land before we choose a path and go down it full force, right? So
Sure.
if we're progressing toward a steep cliff, the real progress is turning around and not jumping off the cliff. So sometimes you might have to go backward to go forward.
Interesting. Like that.
It's great
Like
stuff.
That was great, man. Well,
Everyone,
guys,
James Ruport
Ruport
from Oregon.
Oregon. How do you guys say it? Is it Oregon?
Oregon, yeah.
Oregon.
He's still struggling with
From the
his
suburbs
New York slang.
We hear it every now and then. I hear
Of
the
course.
Oregon every now and then. Yeah.
Oregon. The suburbs of Portland, Oregon.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
I grew up in Iowa, so I'm a transplant here. It's not going to offend me.
Good. Well,
Yeah,
James,
we appreciate you being on today.
yeah, thank you so much for being on, man. That was great. That was really informative. I'm sure everybody really enjoyed that, honestly. And we've never had anybody really demonstrate anything on the show, so that was really good from a visual standpoint. Guys, check us out next week. We'll be live again Tuesday morning. Listen to us on Amazon Music, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube. Check us out on Instagram Live on Tuesday mornings. James, thank you so much again for being with us. Guys,
And James, hey, James, where can people find you?
Yes, James.
Yeah, just on Instagram, James Ruport. That's it. It's just at James Ruport, one word.
Yeah.
My website is ruportpt.com. For most people listening here probably aren't in Oregon.
I apologize.
But so
Never gonna live
the
there now.
things, hey, it's all right. The
Oregon.
things for
in Oregon.
for anybody else to look at is go to Instagram, and I think it's fp.evidence. It is the evidence page of what functional patterns does for people. Posture, gait cycles, scoliosis, massive scoliosis getting fixed, getting improved by 50, 60, 70%. Just incredible results that some of these practitioners are doing. So fp.evidence, and look at all the different practitioners, functionalpatterns.com, find a practitioner, and you're going to see all the practitioners in the world. You're going to find the 10-week online course there. So I don't care about you guys finding me. I care about you guys finding help. And for most of you, that's not going to be with me. I tend to do one-on-ones in Portland suburbs, right?
Yeah.
So find the practitioner close to you. But if you have questions about navigating the process, I'm here to help. And you'll find me at James Ruport on Instagram.
Cool.
Awesome,
man.
Thank you, man.
So much again
Appreciate it. Great
man.
plug.
Greatly appreciate you being here.
Thanks for coming on today, man.
Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure.
It's been
Thanks,
beautiful.
guys.
And try to get some sleep.
Yeah, try to get some sleep, my man.
All right.
Take care,
All
guys.
right. Take care. See you.